Hello guys, it's a real pleasure seeing you today in front of your screen to watch or to follow this supplementary program from the AFSCS about online learning. Okay, and today for this very first session, what we're going through is to do a bit of work, a bit of learning in maths. Okay, and first of all, I'd like to thank the organization who invited me today to come and present this program, and also my special regards goes to the engineer Ray, who is at the back of everything and making sure that things are going well. So thank you. So to all you, all of you parents and young people, it's important that you understand the reason why we're here. All we're doing is about maths for this very first session. We know that many parts of the world, are going through this challenging period of the pandemic, and all schools in the UK has been have been closed for now, and all the teaching and learning are taking place online. And this organization wanted to give to all of you young people some extra lessons for maths and other subjects. And for this first session, it's going to be mainly maths. It's going to be all maths. We're just going to go through one topic for today, and hopefully next time when we come here, it's going to be for something else. We welcome all your comments and all your, whatever desire you might have, whatever need you might have, whatever topic you think in maths you struggle with. Please feel free to let us know. Feel free to email us. Feel free to put it down in your comments, and then next time when we come, we can go through that topic, and that will be very helpful to you to make sure that you're making progress, that you're getting better understanding, or you're developing your confidence in maths. So thank you. So please follow us very closely, and if you've got a pen and paper, please have it ready as we're going through this first topic. Thank you so much. For this first session, what we're going through today is going to be about solving linear equations. So I'll write it down: solving linear equations. Okay. The most important thing that people need to know first of all is to be able to define or to understand the keywords in maths. What I've come to see is many of our people may actually know what to do, but when they come to an exam paper, they struggle to understand what they have to do with some questions. Why? Because they do not understand what the keywords means. All right. Once you show them what the keyword means, then they'll be able to understand what to do. And most of the time, when you put a question on the board and you ask them to work it out, what happens is, most of the time, or many times in some classes, is like the person doesn't know what to do. But if you just show him just one thing, then he remembers. So you can easily see that the barrier was about the understanding of the keyword. So when today we're talking about solving linear equation, you need to know what solving means, you need to know what linear means, and you need to know what equations mean. Once you know all this, then it's going to be easier for you to apply the method or the strategies, whatever it is, to make sure that you do the thing exactly as you've been taught to do. Okay? So solving an equation will simply mean to find the value of the unknown. I've got an example of an equation. The very first part of this will be to be able to solve one-step equations. Okay, one-step equations. Okay, and I've got an example here. The very first example: x plus 4 equals 9. Right? In any equations, when they ask you to solve the equation, in any equation, you always find a letter in it. Basically, this is what qualifies it to be an equation. You always find a letter. So by solving the equation, all they're asking you to do is to find the value of that letter, to find the value of that unknown letter, okay? The unknown value, to find the value of the variable, okay? And this is algebra, and you know in algebra, letters always represent numbers. So when you see an example, x plus 4 equals 9, all you need to do by solving this equation is to find the value of x. And we just don't do it anyhow. There's a method to follow, different method, it's the maths, that you can actually use to make sure you find the actual value of x. This is about solving. So whenever you see the keyword or the verb solve this, it simply means to find the value of that letter in your equation. Okay? Second thing, linear. Why is it linear? Basically, you can hear the word coming from linear being an adjective. The word coming from there is the word line, linear line. Basically, when you have to plot in a graph, you get a straight line. You're gonna get a straight line. Why? Because our letter here, our unknown x, if you look at the power of x, the power of x is 1. And when the power of x is 1, when you plot in a graph, you always get a straight line. That's what it's called linear equations, because when you plot it, you get a straight line. All right? And equations, we've done this, we've mentioned one thing already. Okay? It's got a letter in it. Okay? A letter that you need to work out, you need to solve to find the value of the letter. The second thing, if you look at this word, equation, there's another word coming from there, equal. Okay, equality. This is what it is. Okay, in any equation, you always find the equal sign. You always find an equal sign. That's what it's called equation. Some kind of equality between two sides. Okay, so there's an equality there. So when you see this type of questions, but you look at the letter which is unknown and the equal sign, it defines or it qualifies it to be an equation. Right, okay, so now all we need to do is to be able to solve this linear equation. As an example, this linear equation. Right, there's a very useful method we use, a very useful strategy we use. Basically in maths, there can be more than one way of doing something. Your answer will always be the same with all those different methods. But what you need to actually understand is what method works best for you. Okay? What is the best method you're going to use? With solving equations, there are more than 2, more than 3 different methods to use. And the one I like, or I've seen people using the most, that they find easier to use, is the method that we call a balancing method. All right, so we're going to solve our equations by using a balancing method. What that is you know how a balance is. So to keep the balance, the stuff on both sides have to be equal, okay? Equal weight, okay, or equal amount, right? Now with our equation, we should have, in any equation anyway, we have, this is the first side, this is the first side, and the other side after on the other side of the equal sign, this is the second side, right? So all we need to do is to make sure that at the end of our workings, we have this letter x remaining on its own on the first side. We have our equal sign and the value on the other side. This is all we need to do. So we need to go from this step here, okay? We need to go from here all the way down to have our x on its own. So whatever you have on the side of x need to be eliminated, all right? The way we do this is, let me change the color, choose a blue one, all right? So right now, in the side of x, in the first side, x has been added with a 4. Okay, so there's a plus 4 in the side of x. All right, so all we need to have is x on its own. That means we don't need this plus 4 here. Okay, we need to get rid of the plus 4. And the way to do this is by using the opposite of plus 4. And the opposite of plus 4 will be minus 4. And because the balancing method balance, what we did on one side should be done on the other side. So because you minus 4 on the first side, the 4 will also need to be subtracted on the other side, on the second side. So minus 4 and minus 4 on both sides. Right? What do we have on the first side now? We have x right there. All right. Plus 4 and minus 4. Plus 4 minus 4 obviously will be 0. Plus 4 minus 4 is gone, 0. And the equal sign comes down there, all lined up. 9 minus 4 is 5. So now we find the value of x, or x equals 5. Okay, if you want to see whether your workings are right, okay, you can substitute the value of x back into your equation. Okay, so where you saw the x, replace the x by its actual value 5 and see whether it works. So if we need to replace the x by the 5, and this will be 5 plus 4, okay, what is it equal to? Equal to 9. So this has been done correctly. So the value of x is actually 5. Okay, this is the first example I did. I'll do another one. First step equation. Okay, I've got another example, which this time is 3 add x again equals 9. Okay, the question you can ask yourself is 3 plus what number equals 9? And at this step it's quite easier, okay, to find the answer without going through all the workings. Okay, this is just a one-step equation, right? So 3 plus what number plus 3 equals 9. We can easily find the answer, all right? But what we're trying to do here is to make sure we use the balancing method correctly, because this will help us to be able to solve other equation, the two-steps equation, and other forms of equation, all right? So what we need to do, balancing method, we want x on its own. And right now, the x on the side of x, on the side of x, we have a 3 there. This is a positive 3 plus 3, okay? And we need to get rid of that plus 3. What do we do with it? So we do opposite of plus 2, which is minus 3. We minus 3 on the other side. What you do on one side, remember balancing method. What you do on one side should be done on the other side. Okay? If you add something on one side, the very same thing need to be added on the other side. If you're subtracting something on one side, the very same number, the very same thing has to be subtracted on the other side. Okay? Now what do we have? 3 minus 3 will be 0, that's gone. Now we're left with the x. Here equals 9 take away 3 is 6. And if you replace the 6 where the x is, replace x by 6, we will have 3 plus 6, which equals to 9. So the value of x is 6. That's correct. The very same method can be used even when we have negative signs. An example of negative signs, I've got this question here, x minus 3 equals 7. You need to solve this equation to find the value of x, right? Remember, what we're doing is the balancing method. That's the one that works best for us for today's lesson. Okay, so what we're doing is the x is on the same side as the minus 3. Okay, and all I want is x to be isolated, x to remain on its own from this side. So I don't want the minus 3 there. That minus 3, I don't want it. Okay, I need to get rid of it. How do I do it? You need to use the opposite of minus 3. What is it? What is opposite minus 3? Is plus 3. Balancing method, what you do on one side should be done on the other side. Okay, if you add something on one side, the same thing should be added on the other side. So we add 3 on the first side, the same 3 need to be added on the second side. All right, now we're solving it. What do we have? We have x on its own here, minus 3 and plus 3, minus 3 plus 3 will be 0, that's gone. Equal sign, 7 plus 3 is 10. Okay, you want to check, replace, substitute the x by the value 10. Where you find the x, replace the x by 10 and see whether it works. That will be 10 minus 3 equal to what? Equal to 7. So it works. All right. This was how to solve one-step equations. If we can move on a bit, and see how we can solve two steps equation. All right, let me get some questions, some example to go through with us. All right, I've got this question here. All right, 5y plus 4 equals 24. We need to solve this equation. Remember, solving an equation means to find the value of the letter. Okay? And in this equation here, the letter is y. You don't always have x. You can have any letter. This is algebra. Any letter. All right? Letters represent numbers. So for this equation here, our letter, our variable is y. So we need to solve this equation, meaning to find the value of y. How do we do it? We're using our balancing method. Okay? This is how we're doing it. Now please watch. Please watch. Okay? What we did earlier on was one-step equation. It was a little bit easier. Now this time here we have about 2 steps. We need to go and solve this equation, okay, in 2 steps. What do we do first? All right? The idea is to have y on its own at the end. Y equals something. This is what we need to have at the end. Sorry, let me just use it now. No. Okay, all we need to have at the end, all we need to have at the end is y on its own equals something. Okay, so now we need to show all our workings to make sure we find the value of y. We solve this equation. Now we need to do this in 2 steps. Okay, now please watch. Where the y is, we see there's a 5 right next to the y, and we see all of this term has been added with a 4. Okay, so there's a 4 there. It's going to be easier for us to get rid of that 4 first, and then to get rid of the 5 in the second step. So first step, get rid of the 4. Remember, how do you do it? By using the opposite. What is the opposite of plus 4? Opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. What does it say about balancing method? What you do on one side has to be done on the other side. So minus 4 on first side, you need to minus the 4 on the second side. All right? So now what do we have? The 5y hasn't been touched. It comes down here, 5y. Plus 4 minus 4 gives you 0. It goes away. Equal sign. 24 minus 4. 24 minus 4 is 20. All right? This sort of questions, okay, are worth 2 marks in exams. Okay? So by doing what we just did at this step here, you're already having 1 mark. But it's not finished, because the question is about finding the value of y, not 5y. We need to find the value of y, so y on its own. That means we want y on its own. We don't want the 5 there. Okay? We don't want to have the 5 there. We need to get rid of the 5. Okay? How do we do it? Okay? Remember, in algebra, when you see terms, okay, 5y is the same as 5 times y. So what we need to do this time, because it's about timesing, we're going to use the inverse of times. Inverse of times is basically divide. What do we divide it by? We need to divide by the number, that coefficient of y. Okay, so we need to divide this by 5. Balancing method, what you do on one side needs to be done on the other side. So we need to divide the second side as well by 5. Okay, what do you have now? 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1y equals 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay, so 1y equals 4. 1y, 1 times anything equals that thing. Okay, 1 is sort of neutral in multiplication. So 1y is the same as y. Alright, so y will be equal to 4. This is our answer. Let's check, let's prove whether we did it right. Okay, substitute the value of y into our equation and see whether it works. All right, how do we do this? Our equation was 5y plus 4, does it equal to 24? All right, replace the y by the 4, and this becomes 5 times by the 4. All right, 5 times by 4, because y is 4. All right, and then plus 4. Does it equal to 24? Let's see. What is 5 times 4? It's 20. 20 add 4 is 24. So 24 equals 24. So that means our value y equals 4 is correct. Another example. Another example. I hope you understand what we're doing. Parents, I hope you understand what we're doing so you can encourage and help and support your children at home. If there's anything, please contact Ray or Mr. Jacques Matensi. They'll be able to call us again and give you a bit more extra support. The next example, this time I'm going to include a negative number in. Okay, our equation this time is 3x take away 6 equals 12. Solving the equation. We need to solve that equation. All right, remember, to solve the equation, simply you need to find the value of the letter. That letter in algebra is called a variable, because the letter x, its value can be anything. Okay, the value of x can be anything, but for this type of equation we will see what will be the specific value for x. All right, here what we're doing, all we need to have at the end is x on its own on the first side equals something. Okay, that number is the one we're trying to work out. All right, okay, so the 3x is just a term, we can leave it for now, and then the minus 6 is the one we need to get rid of first. Okay, so get rid of the minus 6. How do we do it again? You use the opposite of minus 6. Okay, and the opposite of minus 6 is simply add 6. Okay, what you do on one side should be done on the other side. Okay, so because we plus 6 on the first side, the same 6 has to be added to the second side. Okay, now our equation becomes the 3x drops down here. Minus 6 plus 6 is 0. It goes away. Okay, equal sign. We bring it down. And then 12 plus 6 is 18. 12 plus 6 is 18. Now 3x equals 18. Okay, the question to ask is 3 times what equals 18? This is what some other people do. So 3 times what equals 18? And they find the answer. They find the value. For all those who are very good with the times table, they'll be able easy to find the answer. Okay, so because remember in algebra 3x is the same as 3 times x, right? So all we need to do now is to get rid of the 3. How do we do it? By using the inverse of times. Okay, so the inverse of times is divide. So now we need to divide by what? By the coefficient of x, because we don't want the 3 there. All we need is x on its own. Okay, how do we do it? Divide by 3 on the first side. What you do on one side, do the same thing on the other side. And this will be dividing by 3. Okay? Right? So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1x equal sign 18 divided by 3 is 6. 1x is the same as x. So x equals 6. Okay. You want to see what you got the right answer? You can substitute the value of x back into your equation. Okay. So all you need to do is replace x by 6. Replace x by 6. and this will become 3 times 6, which is 18, and 18 minus 6 is 12. So our workings are correct and our answer is correct. So the value of x is 6. Another question. Another one. Solving equation, find the value of the unknown. Okay, use every time the balancing method. Alright, but using the inverse of or the opposite to get rid of the values which are in the same side of x or same side of the variable. Okay, I'll pick one more question. What should I get here? I'll do another one which will be 2x minus 3 equals 17. 2x minus 3 equals 17. What do you need to do? Solve the equation, find the value of the unknown, find the value of the letter x. Alright, how do we do it? By making sure we do our workings to get x isolated, to get x on its own on the first side. Right? So, the 2x, we leave it for now. First step, get rid of the minus 3. How? By using the opposites of 3. Very important thing. Guys, I've seen some of the people making this kind of mistakes. Okay? Instead of writing the plus 3 under the 3, under the minus 3, they write the plus 3 there. And they write a plus 3 there. Obviously, they're creating a confusion to themselves. They're making things hard to themselves. Okay? And from here, okay, what they do here is, to them, they do 2x plus 3 equals 5x, and then minus 3, and then equal to 20. You see, all these are kind of mistakes that people do make. Alright? And this way, you'll never get to the answer. You're making things just complicated. Alright? So where you're putting your values is really, really important. Okay, because that will be helpful to know what you're doing and to make sure you're making progress. Right. So we're adding 3, and the adding 3 will be right there under the 3. Okay? And then the plus 3 on the second side right there. Balancing method, what you do on one side should be done on the other side. Alright? So now we have 2x there. Sorry, the 2x comes here. Minus 3 plus 3 is 0, it goes away. Equal sign, 17 plus 3 is 20. Okay, again, we don't want the 2 there. We need to get rid of the 2. How? You do not plus the 2. You do not subtract the 2. This is about timesing. This is 2x. 2x means 2 times x. 2 times x. So you use the inverse of times. And the inverse of times is divide. Divide by what? Divide by the number in front of the x, divided by the coefficient of x. Again, for this kind of question, for these steps here, I've seen people, okay, some of our young kids, what they do is, they say we need to divide by 20 on both sides. Okay? And no, I don't know what they do after that, but obviously you can see this will make them to have a wrong answer at the end. So you make sure you use the correct numbers to the correct place. Okay? So what you should do is, what we need to divide by is the coefficient of x. So coefficient of x is 2. Divided by 2. Balancing method, what you do on one side, do the same thing on the other side. Divide by 2 on the other side. Okay? Now 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1x equals 20 divided by 2 is simply 10. Okay? So 1x is the same as x, which is 10. So the value of x is 10. Our equation has now been solved. The value of x has now been found, which is 10. You want to prove? Okay, so you can replace this value of this value of x back into the equation and see whether it works. Okay, so replace the x by its actual value 10. So that will be 2x is 2 times x, 2 times x, and x is 10, so that will be 2 times 10. Take away 3, does it equal to 17? Let's see. 2 times 10 is 20. 20 minus 3, does it equal to 17? Okay. 20 minus 3 obviously is 17, and 17 equals 17. So our workings were correct. The value of x was actually 10. Okay. It doesn't mean that x is always equal to 10. No. X is a variable, its value can change. But for this particular equation, the value of x is 10. You've shown all the workings, and it's what you expected to do and to show every time. When you're solving an equation, guys, all right, the examiner, when you're doing your exam, when you're doing a test, the examiner would like to see all these workings. It's very important every time you show all your workings, okay? If you simply put down the answer, obviously the examiner will ask you a certain question, where did you get the answer from? Okay, so you need to show by writing down all the workings, all the method used, show all the workings to prove to the examiner that you know what you're doing, you understand what you're doing, and you actually got the answer right, and you can actually see it from your workings. It's really important in maths to always show your workings. Okay. Can we just do one more question? One more question, and then we can move on to another kind of equations. Right. Let me pick one example. Right. 6x. Take away 2 equals 46. This is our next equation. 6x take away 2 equals 46. What do you need to do? Solving the linear equation. Solve this equation. Solving means to find the value of the letter. What is the letter? The letter is x in our equation. That letter is a variable. The letter in algebra replace or represent a number. Okay, so that's the number that we need to work out. We need to find the value of the number of x, the value of x. Okay, how do we do this? We use the balancing method. We're using the balancing method. Okay, what you do on one side should be done on the other side. Okay, so we're keeping the first bit on its own, the 6x, just leave it for now. Minus 2, get rid of it. How? By adding the 2. Opposite of minus 2 is plus 2. The opposite of minus 2 is plus 2. What you do on one side should be done on the other side. So we plus 2 on the second side. All right, so the 6x is right there. Okay, it drops down. Minus 2 plus 2 is 0. That goes away. Equal sign drops down. Second side, now we have 46 plus 2 is 48. Now we have 6x equals 48. This is already 1 mark. Okay, in exam, this is already a mark. Okay, now the second mark is to find the value of x on its own. Now you got 6x equals 48. Now all you need to do is to get rid of the 6. How do we get rid of the 6? We don't add 6. We don't take away 6. No, we don't. What we're doing is, first of all, you need to understand that 6x is 6 times x. 6 times x. So you use the inverse of times, which is divide. So we divide by what? By 48? No. We divide by 6. We divide by the number, the coefficient of x. We divide by the number that you see, okay, before x. That number, that coefficient, is the one we divide by. Why? Because we want to get rid of it. We want x to remain on its own. All right? So divide by 6 on one side, balancing method on the other side, divide by 6. Okay? So 6 divided by 6 is simply 1. And then you got an x there, equal sign. 48 divided by 6 is 8. Okay, so 1x equals a. 1x is the same as x, so x equals a. And this is the second mark, or let's say this is another mark. Okay, so these type of questions are worth 2 marks, right? And this is grade 3 work. Okay, thank you. So this is what you have to do to make sure that you solve the equation and find the value of that that variable x, that letter x. Okay. The last bit that we're doing is to solve equations when you have variable on both sides. Watch. This is the first example. 4y plus 4 equals 2y plus 24. This is an equation. You've got a variable in there, you've got letters in there, you've got y in there, and you've got the equal sign. It's an equation. It qualifies to be an equation. It is an equation. And now you need to solve it, okay, by finding the value of y. What method to use? The same method, the balancing method is the same one to use, right? Now, what you can notice here, okay, compared to the other one we did earlier on, what you can notice here is we have the variable y on both sides this time. You got y here, you got y there. Okay, you got y on both sides. Okay, you got 4y on the first side and 2y on the second side. The way you do this, please watch. The very first step is the most important one, okay, because the following steps will be just similar or the same thing as you did earlier. Okay, so what you're doing is just look at the two terms. Okay, look at the two y's on both sides. Look at both sides, look at the two sides. Which y has a smaller coefficient? Or, can I rephrase this in this way? Which side do we have less y? Okay, here we have 4y and there we have 2y. So the second side we have a smaller coefficient for y. That is the term to get eliminated, the term to get rid of. Okay, so that's 2y. So we need to get rid of the 2y. How? This 2y and this is positive 2y plus 2y. Use the opposite again, which will be minus 2y. Balancing method, what you do on one side, do the same thing on the other side to keep the balance. So now we have minus 2y on the other side. Okay, what do we have? Okay, the next step, 4y minus 2y. Okay, you go from there. Now it's important for me to remind you about this. Okay, I'll do the next example. Okay, let's just carry on. Okay, now we have 4y minus 2y. 4y minus 2y will be 2y plus 4 equal sign. 2y minus 2y goes away. Okay, it's 0. Now we're left with 24. Okay, now we've come back to the two-step equations that we were doing earlier on. Okay, what do we do? You know what to do. Minus 4 and minus 4. Okay, and now we have 2y minus 4 plus 4 goes away. 2y equals 24 minus 4 is 20. Okay, divided by 2, and which 2 divided by 2 is 1y equals 20 divided by 2 is 10. So y equals 10. Okay, y equals 10. Let's see whether it works. Let's see whether our value is correct. Replace the y by its actual value 10, okay, in our equation. Okay, substitute the value of y, substitute y by its value 10. What does it become? Okay, use a different pen color. Our equation was 4y plus 4 equals to y plus 24. All right, replacing the y by 10, this will be 4 times 10, replace the y by 10, replace the y by 10, all right, and then we have 4 times 10, which is 40, add 4, that's z equals to 2 times 10, which is 20, 20 plus 24. 40 plus 4 is 44. On the second side, 20 plus 24 is also 44. 44, and we can see that 44 equals 44. There is equality. So the value of y equals 10 is correct. Our workings were correct. All right. I'll use this time. We're going toward the end now. Toward the end, probably this will be the last example I will do. Last example I will do. Okay, with the variable on both sides. All right. Here, 6x minus 8 equals 2x plus 12. Solving the equation, just look at the two sides. Look at the two sides and see which side has less x's. Which side, okay, do you see the variable with a smaller coefficient? You can clearly see here we have 6 and then we have 2. So the second side again has a coefficient which is smaller than the coefficient in the first side. So what do we need to do? Get rid of the 2x. How do we do it? That's positive 2x. Use the opposite of 2x. Okay. Now, this is what I wanted to mention. I've seen many people making these mistakes, you know, confusing themselves just by putting the minus 2x in the wrong place. Okay, instead of putting minus 2x under the x, what they do is they'll put minus 2x right there. Then they get confused. Okay, they get confused. Please don't make these mistakes, please. Okay, what you need to do, the minus 2x, put it under the 6x. Sorry, so that should be 2x. Okay, put it under the 6x. Okay, and now the next step will be 6x minus 2x. 6x minus 2x gives you what? 4x minus 8 equals sign 2x. Okay, now we've gone back to the third equation that we had earlier on. All right, what do? We want the value of x. We don't want the minus 8 there. What do we do with it? Get rid of it by using the opposite of minus 8. Balancing method, what you do on one side, do the same thing on the other side. 4x comes down here, is 4x. Okay. Minus 8 plus 8, it goes away, that's 0. Minus 8 plus 8 is 0. Equal signs here. 12 plus 8 is 20. Now we have 4x equals 20. We don't want 4x. All we want is x on its own. How do we do this now? We need to get rid of the 4. 4x means 4 times x. So we use the inverse of times, which is divide. Divide by what? Divide by 4. And divide by 4 on the other side. And this gives us 1x equals 5. 1x is the same as x equals 5. Alright, if you replace the x by the value of 5, I can leave it to you to do. Okay, you can easily do it and complete it. Can I just write some questions here for you to have a go at home? Okay, alright, just some questions here. Alright, I'll start by, give me a second, this question 4 here, which is 5x plus 3. 5x plus 3 equals to x plus 12. Get it done. Okay, and question 5, I'll use 1 again, this time will be negatives. 7x minus 8, this is yours to do, your task. So 8 minus 8 equals x minus 2. Okay, question 3, 4 4x, all right, 4x plus 5 equals 73. Question 2, I'll need a minus there, 5x minus 3 equals 72. All right, and is p, take away 5 equals minus 8. This is your task to complete. All right, you can go back to the video and see what we went through, all the workings, how we were able to use the balancing method and get the 5 questions done. If there's any question, if there is confusion, anything you don't remember, anything you don't understand, please drop a comment and explain what you don't know, what you don't understand, what or where do you need help on. We're here, and for today, for this very first session, I think we can end it there. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for following us. Thank you. And I'll say this again, if there's anything else, if there's any need that you might have, please email or please comment, okay, down this video, and then the organization, the AFSCS, will get in touch with us and we'll be able to help you a bit more, okay? Thank you so much for your time. And again, my special thanks to the engineer Ray, my special thanks to Mr. Matensi Jack, my special thanks to the organization for inviting me to support our young people. Thank you so much. All I have to tell you now is good luck and have or spend a good time in your families. Stay home and keep safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.